Sometimes it feels like your presence itself is a mistake. You walk into a room and suddenly you feel the urge to shrink. Not because anyone said something, not because you did anything wrong, but because somehow simply being there feels like you're taking up too much space. You hesitate before speaking. You apologize for small things. You feel relief when no one notices you. And the strange part is, you don't fully understand why. Why would someone feel embarrassed just for existing? This feeling rarely announces itself directly. Instead, it hides inside small moments. You start a sentence, then stop halfway. You rehearse what you're about to say in your head 3 times before saying it. You worry that your laugh was too loud, or that your question was unnecessary, or that people secretly wish you weren't there. Over time, this doesn't just affect conversations, it affects identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who should stay in the background, someone who shouldn't cause inconvenience, someone who should be easy. Psychologists sometimes call this learned self-suppression, a pattern where the brain quietly concludes, my presence creates problems. So the safest option becomes reducing yourself. But this creates a painful contradiction. You want connection. You want to express yourself. But the moment attention turns toward you, something inside pulls back. And that reaction didn't come from nowhere. Here's the important part. This feeling does not mean something is wrong with you. In many cases, it means your brain learned a survival strategy. Human brains are extremely adaptive, especially in childhood. When you grow up around people who are easily overwhelmed, stressed, or emotionally unpredictable, your brain starts studying the environment. It asks a quiet question: what makes things calmer here? If speaking up caused tension, if asking for help caused annoyance, if expressing emotions caused discomfort, your brain learned something powerful. Less of me equals less conflict. So you adapted. You became careful, quiet, self-monitoring, and over time, that adaptation turned into identity. But the brain rarely updates old survival rules, even when the environment has changed. Which leads us to the deeper mechanism. Your brain has a system constantly scanning for social safety. Neuroscientists call parts of this network the salience system. It helps detect what might be important or threatening in your environment. But when someone grows up in emotionally tense environments, this system becomes hyper-attuned to social reactions. Small signals suddenly feel very important. A pause in conversation, a slight shift in someone's tone, a distracted expression. Your brain reads these signals and asks, did I cause that? Here's a simple mental model. Imagine your brain has an internal volume knob for how much space you allow yourself to take. For some people, that knob sits comfortably in the middle, but for others, early experiences slowly turned it down, lower and lower, until simply existing feels louder than it should. The result, your brain tries to reduce the noise by reducing your presence, less talking, less asking, less expressing, because somewhere deep inside, your nervous system still believes visibility equals risk. But the good news is, this knob can slowly be adjusted again, not with force, but with understanding. 1. Notice the invisible apology. Many people with this pattern apologize automatically. Sorry for asking. Sorry if this is dumb. Sorry for bothering you. Start noticing these moments, not to criticize yourself, just to observe. Why it works? Behavioral psychology shows that awareness interrupts automatic habits. Once the brain sees the pattern, it becomes easier to change. Example, next time you ask a question at work, pause before adding sorry. Just ask the question, nothing more. 2. Test the prediction. Your brain predicts negative reactions, but predictions are not always accurate. Try small experiments. Say your opinion in a conversation. Ask for clarification. Share a thought without rehearsing it. Why it works? This uses prediction error, a key learning process in neuroscience. When the brain predicts rejection but receives neutrality or acceptance, it slowly updates its expectations. Example, you mention an idea during a meeting. Instead of annoyance, someone says, "That's interesting." Your brain collects new evidence. 3. Expand your presence tolerance. Think of social space like physical space. If someone has been standing in the corner for years, stepping into the center feels uncomfortable. So you expand slowly. Speak a little longer. Share one extra detail. Hold eye contact 1 second longer. Why it works? Gradual exposure helps the nervous system recalibrate what feels safe. Example, instead of giving one-word answers, add one full sentence, just one. 4. Separate existence from performance. A subtle shift. Your worth in a room is not based on how useful, interesting, or entertaining you are. You are allowed to exist without performing. Why it works? This challenges a cognitive distortion called conditional self-worth, the belief that acceptance must be earned through behavior. Example, you sit with friends without trying to carry the conversation, you just participate naturally. So the real issue was never your existence. It was an old safety rule your brain learned too well. Your mind turned the volume down on your presence to keep the environment calm, but the environment has changed, and now the skill is slowly turning that volume back up, not all at once, just one notch at a time. Each small moment where you speak, stay, or exist without shrinking. The strange thing about feeling embarrassed for existing is that it often happens to the most considerate people, the ones who learned to read rooms carefully, the ones who tried not to burden anyone. But your presence was never the problem. Your brain simply became very good at protecting peace. Now it's learning something new, that peace doesn't require your disappearance. And sometimes the quietest form of courage is simply allowing yourself to remain in the room.